And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning in to the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No! I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're gonna need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. We appreciate it. Here we are together again on the radio. You know I love technology. We do a gadget show here once in a while. I am not one of those people who is afraid of technology. I use it. I embrace it. I love it. I don't just love gadgets for the sake of gadgets. Technology is making amazing things happen. It also makes some of the worst possible things in the world happen, like atomic bombs and things like that. But, boy, the benefits of technology are numerous. Just had a new computer built for me with a top-of-the-line processor. And 4 terabytes of storage. Because I'm a freak. So, understand, I'm not one of these stick-in-the-muds who complain about technology. Oh, God, like, now you have to have an email address, you have to have a cell phone. You know people like that? And people asking for your cell phone number all the time. They're asking for your email address. What is this? You ever meet people like that? I'm not one of those. I am not one of those. I love technology. I want to make that clear before I say what I'm about to say. Okay. I am not afraid of technology. I am not afraid of using computers to do all kinds of things I used to do by hand. And when new stuff comes out, I get it. Because I can. I use it. And that is why what I'm about to say may not sound sensible to you. Because I do love technology. You're going to say, well, if you love technology, why do you feel this way? And I'm going to explain it to you right now. Last week, I had the misfortune, and I say this, I can't understate how unfortunate I was. So listen to a radio station in San Francisco, a radio station on which we used to broadcast. Now, understand what I'm about to say has nothing to do with the fact that we used to broadcast on this station. The radio station we were on in San Francisco had a 0.0 rating for all of the years we were on the air. A 0.0 because it was at AM 1550. It was all the way up the dial. And there was a small, devoted band of freaks with a scan button who used to listen to this show, but they were tiny group. Anyway, the radio station changed format, and here's what it changed to. All podcasts. At least that's what they're calling it, all podcasts. But if you think about it, you cannot have a radio station be all podcasts. You know why? Because it defeats the purpose of a podcast. For one thing, a podcast is something you download and then listen on your iPod, for example, or your other MP3 player. That's what it is. So anybody with a computer can, speak into it for half an hour and turn it into an MP3 file and then make it available for download. And it's called podcasting. So, if this is going out over the air, by definition, it's not a podcast. But what they've done with this radio station, then, is essentially turned it into the equivalent of public access television. Every half hour, there's some other goofball talking about folk music or bungee jumping or, like the most eclectic bunch of crap that you don't care about. One amateur after another. And they call these podcasts on the radio, which is ridiculous. But it got me to thinking about podcasting as I was listening to these god-awful, unlistenable, unintelligible pieces of crap one after another on the radio. It got me to thinking about podcasting in general. And can I tell you something? People ask me, the number one question I get asked is about satellite radio. Would you go to satellite? Will you go? Well, now there's satellite radio. Will you go there? People just assume that if there's technology, you have to jump on it. I don't know what I'll do. I have no idea. And frankly, I don't care. But they ask that question. Here's a question, though, I get asked by reporters. What about podcasting? Are you afraid of podcasting? They ask me this question. And this is something people don't understand about radio. Okay. This is a medium, and Howard Stern has talked about this, and so have others. It's a medium that gets absolutely no respect. And that not only is among the public, it gets no respect from people in our own industry. There are people who think that anybody can sit down here and talk into this microphone and get listeners. Of course, if that were true, why are some shows like this one on for 11 years and other shows come and go? Why? Well, because that's simply not true. Okay? That's number one. Another reason I think that I do believe that radio is not respected as a medium is because it's disposable. If I sat down and typed what I'm thinking right now, which are the things I'm saying, and I mailed them into the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, that would be called a column. If I did transcripts of every monologue I did, it would be a book. Chicken Soup for the A-hole or something like that. It would be a book. But because you're sitting there with the carpool and my voice is playing in the background, hey, wake up! Or because, you're painting the house and the radio is sitting on your front lawn and you're climbed all the way up the ladder and you only hear every fourth word I say. It doesn't matter how much thought I put into this work. Doesn't matter how much time I take preparing. You don't even hear most of what I say anyway. I did an hour where I talked about a particular survey that said that 1 in 25 men with children are the fathers of somebody else's children. They don't even know that they are not the fathers of their own children. And I read paragraphs and paragraphs of where the study came from, what the methodology of the survey was, and what have you. And a woman called me half hour later. I don't know where you get these numbers, because people don't pay any attention. They don't pay any attention to what you're saying. She said she heard me read it and yet didn't listen to or hear a word I said. And as a result of the way people... By the way, I'm not whining about this. That's how people use radio. And the people who are successful at radio understand how the medium is used and then tailor what they do to the way people actually use radio. You can't come in here and speak in a lot of $20 words all the time and talk over the head of the audience and deal in concepts where you do a monologue that goes on for 3 hours where you're going to explain everything about everything, because people don't use radio that way. The average listener to this show listens for just under an hour at a clip. That's it. That's the average. That includes the people who listen for 5 minutes and the people who listen for the entire show. The average listener is just under an hour. So you have to do your program in such a way that people are going to pay attention to it. They're going to be able to use it. You have to essentially manufacture it in bite-sized pieces. Anyway, a lot of work, a lot of thought, a lot of creativity goes into it. There's very little respect for it, and I am not crying a river here over this. I'm not complaining about the lack of respect we get. Well, the reason I'm telling you about this is why in the world would somebody like me be concerned about the wackos, weirdos, and winos who are sitting, talking into their microphone and their PC late at night in their underwear, and then uploading it to the internet, and then there's 12 people out there who download the podcast and listen to it? Why would I be afraid of that? I mean, all a podcast is it's another way of delivering content. And if the content is bad, the content is unlistenable, I don't really care how people got it. I don't care if they downloaded it off the internet or they turned on AM 1550 in San Francisco. I don't care what they did. If the stuff is crap, the technology is irrelevant. When people talk to me about satellite radio, whether it will work if it has great content. And if it doesn't, it will mean nothing. Technology in and of itself means nothing when it's in connection with content. Nobody owned a VCR in the 70s until they started making porn videos that you could buy in the store for $100. And when pornography made it in there, suddenly these things were flying off the shelves. Now, you may say that's lousy content, but you know what? It's compelling to people who, like to spank the old monkey once in a while. It's compelling to them, and there's a lot of them out there, and that's what they did. It is the monkey spankers who went out and made VCRs a big appliance. When all the VCR did was, well, look, it's amazing technology. You press the record button, and it will record Laverne and Shirley. Isn't that great? Didn't excite people very much. Fact is, Laverne and Shirley was already on TV. What'd you need to tape it for? You're going to watch it now and then watch it again later? But no. By the way, the original Betamax did not have a timer. It could only record 1 hour. You couldn't record an entire movie on it. This is true. If you wanted a timer, you had to buy a separate big clock. One of these big old-school clocks with wheels that, had 1 through 12 or 1 through 10 on them. So you had 10, 11, 10, 12, 10, 13. These wheels would indicate the time. That was the only way you could set your Betamax to tape shows. So when suddenly there was a VHS player that could play 2 hours and they were selling porno, that was what did it. The fact that you can do something that somebody called a podcast, it doesn't mean anything to somebody who does what I do. I don't care if there's podcasts. It doesn't matter. Now every untalented, unenlightening moron can talk into a microphone and find an audience of 3. So what? By the way, this show, which is not podcast, people tape it. They turn it into MP3s. They post it on things like WinMX and Grokster. And there are other people downloading it like a podcast out there right now. And I'll bet more people hear me that way than hear any podcast. This is stupid, stupid, stupid. I might add, when we're talking about stupid, like a podcast is just an MP3. When you're sitting at your computer, you could sit there and download a podcast, or you could sit there and play it while you're doing something else on the computer. This whole concept is stupid. And when I heard this radio station with these grandmothers talking about Jerry Garcia and all this crazy crap that was on the radio, it's like, you know what? We had that in the 70s. It was called public access. Those cable channels where any moron could come in off the street and pay $30 for a studio and could talk into the camera and get crank calls from people because they had no delays. Believe me, I did a public access show in the 70s. I know all about it. And now people talk about podcasting like it's some incredible revolution. It's just a bunch of stupid people. It's like CB radio. Remember when CB radio came out? Oh, yeah, that's great. And then everybody could buy a CB radio and talk on it, and eventually you couldn't hear what anybody was saying because so many people went down to Radio Shack and bought a CB radio. Everybody had one. Nobody was even getting licenses to operate them anymore. And it was just a bunch of morons sitting in their underwear saying 10-4 into a microphone. It was the stupidest damn thing that ever happened. And people made a big deal about that. And it's the same thing with this. The same damn thing. Were you worried about podcast? No. No. Is there anything anybody is podcasting that's going to threaten a show like this one? Forget it. So that's why I said to you, don't misunderstand. I love technology, and I think it's wonderful. But podcasting is the biggest hype I've ever heard of. It's nothing but hype. And that moron Adam Curry, who used to be on MTV, now I saw him quoted in Business Week as a podcasting guru. Yeah, good work there, Adam. You know, if you were such a guru, Adam, you'd be on the radio making big money instead of sitting there trying to tell Joe Blow how to make that 11-minute MP3 so he can upload it to some other guy's iPod. You got to be kidding me, pal. Am I wrong about this?
Tom Leykis.
1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
The Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Chris on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Not much.
Been listening for a few months, first-time caller, listening to you talking about the podcast. I work in the music business. I'm a recording engineer in Los Angeles, and I think we're kind of seeing this with all technology. We're seeing it happen in the music business. We're seeing it happen in film, where now because the technology has become so advanced and so inexpensive, anybody can get their hands on it. And so the professionals don't have control over the content anymore.
Well, that all sounds wonderful on paper, and I hear this argument all the time, but here's the reality. So what if anyone can get their hands on the equipment? It doesn't really matter. If they don't have compelling content, they're not going to have an audience, and no one's going to listen to them anyway.
Well, I mean, that's my point, and essentially it's bringing the content down. Before, when people didn't have access to all this technology, the content seemed to be a little bit better, and it seems like now it's bringing the quality of it down. At the same time...
I disagree with you. I think the quality of radio is now going to improve. Because after years of debasing our own business, getting rid of all of the things that people loved radio for, fun, energy, personality, newscast, traffic report, the stuff that people wanted to get off the radio.
Right.
And also after narrowing playlists down to next to nothing,
right.
Radio is going to have to improve in the face of the ability of people to download songs off the Internet. Having said that, I have never heard a podcast that would get me to not listen to the radio, ever. The fact that everybody can broadcast means nobody will be interested in what they have to say.
Right. Well, I agree that eventually the availability of the technology will eventually bring the content around, but I feel like right now, since it's kind of a new thing, that we're kind of going through a shift right now, and it is taking a lot of the power out of the executives' hands, who are certainly making a lot of the wrong decisions on what's being put out there. A lot of times they're focusing on the lowest common denominator. A lot of the times the younger kids, things of that nature, dumbing a lot of stuff down. So it does take the power out of their hands, but I feel like we're kind of in a growth period with the technology, and it takes a minute for...
The only thing you have, really, is the fact that the executives and companies want everything to stay the same.
Right.
So for a period of time, they're behind the curve on technology.
Right.
Our own company, for example, that syndicates this show and broadcasts it in several markets, they did not believe in the Internet and did not broadcast any shows on the Internet. We were the last ones to have streams of radio programs online, and many of our shows are still not online, including this one.
Right.
And the fact is that eventually they wise up, eventually they get with the program, and then eventually they dominate whatever new technology there is.
Right.
So they let the hobbyists and the podcasters and the morons do all the dirty work and figure out a system for whatever it is, podcasting, streaming, whatever. And then ultimately, the big companies come in and dominate the technology. That's the history of the world, part two.
That's the way it works.
That's the way it works. So what that I swear I heard a show of grandmothers on the air talking about the Grateful Dead. Because it's like Jerry Garcia's birthday recently or something. And I swear I heard this. It's like, does anyone really think that anyone is going to stop listening to a show, whether it's this one or any good radio program, to tune in and listen to that?
Nobody's going to listen to that.
I mean, public access cable TV existed for years. Did anyone ever have a show that outrated the networks?
Never.
Never.
Wayne's World.
That's what I'm talking about. And believe me, podcasting is Wayne's World all day long.
Well, have you heard about now that the possibility for telephones to go through the Internet is becoming potentially available to technology within, I mean, there's no telling. It could be
what do you mean?
A year or two, but that's the phone companies are freaking out about.
Oh, that's already done. Pal, that's...
I know people are already doing it.
I've got a VoIP phone at home. Are you kidding? That's already out there.
Yeah.
You can send phone calls over the Internet and get them for, like, you just pay a monthly fee to the VoIP company.
I know a guy that's got it set up with his mother right now, and that's the only person I've seen or even heard about having it. But I know that, I've seen a couple articles now that's freaking out the phone company.
Well, yeah, no doubt about it. But see, again, we're not talking about mass appeal content.
Right.
We are talking about one person talking to another person.
Right.
But hey, let's never forget that the people on the radio who get paid the big bucks, they're there for a reason. And they get paid big bucks for a reason.
Right.
Because let's just say Howard Stern, for example. I mean, the guy has a compelling radio program damn near most of the time.
Right.
And if you have a compelling radio program, who cares if three grandmas are on the air talking about Jerry Garcia when you got Howard Stern to listen to? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's stupid.
Hey, can I respond real quick to something that was on the show a couple of days ago?
Nope, but I appreciate the call.
Tom Leykis.
1-800-5800-TOM.
Tom Leykis.
1-800-5800-866.
It is finally great to pay homage to the king.
Thank you.
The Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles, it's the Tom Leykis Show. You're not going to believe this. Right in the middle of having this conversation, I just got off the phone with Bob Moore, who is the general manager of 97.1 KLSX here in Los Angeles. That's the radio station that carries our show here in our hometown, SoCal. And it just started this afternoon, that you can now hear our show all the way through live by going to fmtalki.com. fmtalki.com. So if you've been listening to our show through pirate feeds or podcasts or downloading it from Grokster, or you have friends in New York or Chicago or San Francisco or any place where the show is not heard, you just go to fmtalki.com. If the station you're listening to right now doesn't have the balls to broadcast our show live, you can hear it between 3 and 8 p.m. Pacific time by going to fmtalki.com. You can hear us right now. Who needs a podcast, for Christ's sake? You can hear the show live. Live. Right now. I mean, you know how often I get emails about this? Where can I hear your show live? And we always have to, like, say, we don't know. Wink, wink. Well, we know, but we're not supposed to say. But now we can say. fmtalki.com. It's there right now. Try it out right now. You get, by the way, some of you radio weirdos out there who want to hear what different radio stations sound like. Would you like to hear what our show sounds like in L.A. and you live in Seattle or Portland or, who knows, Dallas, wherever? You can go to fmtalki.com right now. Right now. And hear it. So there. I want to see how many hits that gets. Can you imagine, well, now that I've announced this, how many hits that website is going to get? Holy cow. You just go to the homepage of fmtalki.com, and there it is. Just click on Listen Live, and you'll be listening live. Now you can listen in your office. You can listen when you're not at home. Maybe you're out of town, going on vacation, whatever. You can take the Tom Leykis Show with you wherever you go. Wow, I never thought I'd say this on the air. Never. Not while I was with this company. I never thought I'd be saying it. Nope. I heard all these lectures over the years about how, oh, no. This is, there's no way to monetize the Internet. It's just going to cost a lot of money. And, well, guess what? It only took us how many years since Mark Cuban became a billionaire, because he used to stream stuff over the Internet. That's how he became a billionaire. And he monetized it. He definitely did. So what can I tell you? FMTalkI.com. Go there and listen live to the Tom Leykis Show any day of the week. I'm blown away. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. In fact, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Well, I live in the vicinity of the Hollywood Hills. FM reception is terrible. I can't listen to the radio station at home. Can't. And now I can. Wow. Okay. Brian on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
What's up, Dad?
The ratings, my salary.
Long time, first time, brother.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, man. Hey, you know what? I agree with you. About 99% of the crap out there in the podcast is just, it's unlistenable.
At least 99%.
But, there are a few good shows that I listen to, like they cover tech stuff, and you can download, like, the ESPN news and that sort of thing. And I listen to it in between, like, on the commercials and stuff.
Right.
But, I don't know, man. I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to get better. It's going to improve. But
yeah, but here's what's ultimately going to happen. Just like our company just put our stream online for the first time. The first legal stream of our show. Okay? It took years to get there. Ultimately, the people who know how to do this will take over the technology and will do it better than the grandmas discussing the Grateful Dead.
Right.
You see? So right now, everybody can sit there and have fun, and like the little shortwave freaks and the CB freaks and all that. They can sit there and play with that stuff and be little tech heads and stuff. But ultimately, people who know how to create compelling content will have all of the listeners. And the grandmother sitting around the coffee table talking about the Grateful Dead, that will not have listeners. Bottom line.
Right. Is there any chance of you podcasting your show?
Why would I?
Well, I can't always listen to the radio. I'm at work and stuff. I don't get good reception in there. And then, I could download it and listen to it at my leisure,
Well, you can listen to it live right now online. Right now.
But I'm talking about, when it's not live or, later on the evening.
No, you know what? It's a live show.
That's right.
We take phone calls. Well, the essence of it is it's live.
Still, man, you got to pick up your lessons, and it can't always be there.
Well, I understand that, but, we're trying to compel you to listen live. That's what we want.
I got you.
I personally, I think a telephone talk show on tape is like flat beer, okay? I come on here, I talk about stuff live as it's happening. I talk about all kinds of things. We did the interview with Derek Lowe's wife and stuff like that. That stuff happened, on the fly. To me, the idea of you sitting there at 2 in the morning with your iPod listening to something I did 12 hours ago, it doesn't float my boat.
I got you. Hey, can you take me out Mariner style?
Here you go, Brian. Holding like an accordion again, the sum of the Seattle Mariners. Already at least 15 games out in August. It's done. It's toast. And Adrian Beltre, reverting to the mean, as they say on Wall Street. If you don't know what that means, look it up. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Frank on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How are you this afternoon?
Doing okay.
Good. I have to say, my brother from another mother, I think I'm too close in age to call you Dad.
Ah, okay.
So, hey, the reason why I was calling was, well, first of all, I've listened to you for many years, and I can't believe that I'm finally speaking to you after all the great subjects you've had about something that's so geeky, but I thought I'd call anyway. You know what I thought was, on the latest version of iTunes, when you download the software, they have a podcast button, like a quick button for your files. And I thought, they're out there selling music at 99 cents a song. What would stop people, and I certainly don't endorse this, nor do I recommend it, but what would stop people from putting together half-hour podcasts that were nothing but great music, filing it under names, and allowing people to download a half hour of music? It could be anything from rock and roll to maybe Miles Davis's Birth of the Blues instead of...
I'm sure people are already doing that.
Ah, okay. I didn't realize that was a format that people were into already.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if people are doing that.
Well, I'm going to have to start searching the web because, to be honest with you, I get tired of paying these people for this music all the time.
I'd be willing to bet there are people doing that.
Okay. Well, cool. Thank you. You have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. George on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, George.
How are you doing?
Do you care, George?
I really do.
I'm doing great.
Well, I totally agree with you. I'm not interested in listening to somebody talking about the Grateful Dead. And I totally commend you on putting on a great show. And I would rather listen to you live than, podcast it.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that defeats the whole purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've been listening to you for the last 3 years, and it totally changed my life. And that's all.
Did you dump that bitch?
Yes, I did.
Good for you.
Yep, single and haven't been mingling, so, yep.
Love it. Getting more ass than a toilet seat now, George?
Actually, yeah. I'm going out with this girl on Saturday, so.
Sounds good to me.
She's a 10.
Sounds good to me, George. Hey, thanks a lot for the call.
The NFL season begins with a Thursday night special on ABC. Started off with the Rolling Stones, Green Day, Santana, Kanye West, and more. It's the NFL's biggest opening night ever as the two-time defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots take on the Oakland Raiders in the official start to the regular season. It's a night of hits. Thursday, September 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Brought to you by Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL and Super Bowl 40.
Tom.
Really?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's the Tom Leykis Show.
At 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. In case you missed the announcement, you can now hear our entire show streamed live on the Internet. We are it's official now, we are the last radio program to be provided to you in a live stream on the Internet. All the rest have been on forever, and now finally here we are. Broadcasting around the world, for God's sake. Sean on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Doing okay, Sean.
Wonderful. We're over here at Talil Air Base in South Central Iraq. We're all listening to you. We got you online through a different website.
Wow.
Near your old stomping grounds.
Wow. Oh, you're in Iraq right now?
I've been here for 5 months, going on my 6th.
Isn't it interesting that the military will not give you our show over Armed Forces Radio? They will not let you have us.
That's retarded. I can't stand it.
Well, the Internet gets right around that problem, doesn't it?
We got it. They haven't censored it quite yet, but I'm sure they're going to catch on because the whole base is listening to you.
Oh, I love that. Where are most of you guys from?
Most of us, I'm from Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho, and some guys from McCord. Just a lot of people from everywhere, though.
Love it. Love it. So what time, all right, Leykis 101 is going to come on soon. What time is it on in Iraq?
We're 11 hours behind you, so it's 4 a.m. here right now, just shade after 4.
Wow.
We started at 12. We get off at 10 or so.
Oh. That's like listening to us in Detroit, for God's sake.
Just about. Flash Friday is going to be here, though. There's a couple around here that actually have listened to you back home when they were back in the States.
Now, do you think this show would work in Idaho?
Actually, I do. There's a base there that's largely full of guys that need your Bible. They need it big time. So
I think you're right.
They got one radio station there. It's very weak. Nothing compared to you, though.
Sounds good to me, Sean. Well, thank you so much for calling in from Iraq. I love this.
No problem, Tom. Can you take me out Enum style?
Enum style. Here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM. Kurt on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Finally a chance to talk to a man that's right behind Ryan Seacrest and Pauly Shore in the talent department.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
And amazingly, you listen to me, too.
Well, you know what? I get out of work and my radio's still on 97.1.
And let me guess, your hands were cut off, you were caught stealing in Iraq, and you cannot change the station.
No, Howard Stern's on my radio when I...
So you're incapable, your arthritic fingers cannot press the buttons.
No, the only thing that's compelling, though, is to listen to you brag about yourself. It just gets really sickening after a while.
Really? That's because you wish you had the money I have, the power I have, the fame I have.
I probably got one out of the three. I don't have the power or the fame, probably.
Probably don't have the money I have either.
I have a feeling you really kind of exaggerate what you make. You're probably barely over $1 million, $1.4 million a year.
You go ahead and keep believing that.
Well, that's okay. That's neither here nor there, how much you make.
Yeah,
Understanding, that your demographic is 16 to 40.
Oh, is that what it is? The Tom Leykis Show.